So we need to stop making women feel less than because they have been divorced, because they had an affair, because they cheated on someone, because of whatever. We have to just stop making them feel like they're less than and shaming them, because then it makes them go further in a hole where they don't want to come out, where they're just like, I'm not saying that because the church people judging me, that kind of stuff. It's like, no,
Yeah.
And I will never forget, and this was something that really stuck in me as a person, was that I remember this young lady crying to me and telling me that her spiritual mother at a church, when she confessed that she had cheated on her husband, that woman told her, "You are not a Christian."
Welcome to the Boomlennial podcast, hosted by the dynamic duo cousins, Chee and Dee. This podcast celebrates the synergy between a millennial and a baby boomer, showcasing the fusion of generational leadership, insights, and real-life experiences.
We'll unveil strategies not to just survive, but thrive as leaders in an ever-evolving world. Let's ignite the transformation we aspire to see in ourselves, our teams, and our businesses. Let's get started.
What's up, family? Welcome back to season 2 of the Boomlennial podcast, your go-to space for real talk for everything entrepreneurship, business leaders, and real estate insights. I'm Chee.
And I'm Dee. And y'all, can you believe it? We're kicking off season 2 of our podcast.
Whoa, time is flying. And I just want to take a second to thank each and every one of you who have been rocking with us, liking us, sharing us, subscribing, and showing us love. We really do appreciate it. You are the MVPs.
And yes, we see all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now, before we jump into today's powerful conversation, Chee.
Yes.
Let's catch up.
Okay.
How was your Christmas and New Year's?
Oh my gosh, it was spectacular. I got to go home for Christmas to Maryland. My mom came up from St. Pete, so we were at Zena's. That's my sister. And we had a great time. We even had I think Christmas was on Wednesday, And so Friday we had a family night. Over 30 members showed up. We played spades, games, cards. We started at 8. They didn't leave to 2:30.
Nice.
We had a great time. And then I came back and I spent New Year's with my significant other and we went to 2 dances and it was just fun. I had a great holiday. How about yours?
Good. It was really good. The family, we went to Trinidad and Tobago.
Ooh.
So that was really nice. We got to see some of our, the larger part of the family, and the girls did not want to leave the island.
Sure.
So we had a what in the Caribbean culture they call a true Trini Christmas. So they did not want to leave. But New Year's, it was quiet. We were at home having a small little party.
Wow. So I know they didn't want to leave because see, your husband is from Trinidad, right?
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct.
Okay. And did they get to see their auntie who, raised them?
Yes. They got to see her and all their cousins.
Okay.
And so it was just really nice time.
Wow. Well, I love it. But let's get back to the show because today's conversation is one you don't want to miss.
Yes. So today we're talking about unleashing your inner worth, the summit and its mission. And Chee, I know you're so excited about today's guest. Why don't you introduce her to our Boomlennial family?
Ooh, I would love to. Today we are honored to have my friend, my fellow co-author, and all-around powerhouse, Dr. Dionna Abrams. Woo! Yes. So let me break it down for y'all. Dionna is an accomplished author, media personality, and nonprofit leader. You may have seen her on-air behavior analyst for true crimes and docuseries such as For My Man, Fatal Attraction, and Celebrity Crime Files. She's also an author of 8 books. I do have one right here. I'll tell you about it a little later. But the author of 8 books and founder and executive director of Unleash Your Inner Worth Incorporated. It's a nonprofit dedicated to empowering women to step into their greatness. Dionna is passionate about personal growth, meaningful friendships, and helping others unlock their full potential. Y'all, she's the real deal. So let's give a warm Boomlennial welcome to Dr. Dionna Abrams. Woo! Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. That was
Now-
so sweet. Thank you.
Now, Chee, I gotta know, how did you all meet?
Okay, I love this story. So Dionna and I actually met at the book release of this. Can you get this, Kenny, front and center? Of this book. It's entitled The Midnight Clear. So this book is a collection of stories that of love, hope, and inspiration. And so Don and I are one of like 20 other authors. So it's an anthology. So, you know, you're familiar with like the Chicken Soup of the Souls, where everybody have a different story. So our instructions was every story, something had to be positive around something Christmas. Is that right?
That's what it was.
Yeah. And
Yes.
so, but that's how we met. And from there, our relationship just grew because she was just so sweet. So anytime she had her, I think the next thing I went to was
That book release
her
party.
book release
Sure
party.
did. That was one of my early
And
books.
this one is called Only True Love Waits. And I
Yes.
did, you know, make sure that what book did my book club read? Because you came to our book club
Sure
as a
did.
guest.
Oh, God.
But it wasn't this one though,
No,
was
it wasn't. It was one of the later books.
Okay.
I forgot what
And
it
I'm
was.
so sorry.
I'm
I tried to
sorry.
look it up and everything.
Was it Divorcing the Devil?
Divorcing the
That was
Devil.
it.
That was
Yes,
it. And oh
yes.
my gosh, it was a great read. So I'm telling you, this is an author that if you guys support her book, she will come to your book club and it makes for an exciting discussion.
Thank you.
But I want to say this, that Dionna is very special to me. Now you've heard of the term generational wealth, right?
Mhm.
Well, I want to shine the light on another important term, generational blessings. Dionna hasn't just been a friend and a supporter to me. She's also played a very important role to my son, Wiseman. So she is Wiseman's friend and she's his editor on all of his TV scripts and his movies. So, Dionna, I just got to ask you. So you've seen Wiseman's creativity firsthand.
Yes.
So what's it been like working with him?
I love him. He is one of the just most real, kindest people that you'll ever meet. You did a phenomenal job raising him. My hat's
Thank
off
you.
to you with that. He's a phenomenal young man. And having met him all those years ago when he was like a teenager, like at your book release, like 15 years old or something, and now he's a fully grown man. And it's just like, wow. But working with him has been great. He's professional. He gets things to me on time. And he tells me, he's like, you know, you've been such an inspiration to me and such a blessing. He's like, my mom taught me to never take advantage of people. So he pays me. And I'm just like,
Oh,
I don't charge him a fee.
right.
He just gives me a love offering every
Oh,
time.
my gosh.
And that was the sweetest thing, you know, but just because that's the type of person he is. And he did something really so phenomenal when you talked about generational blessings right over the holidays, but I couldn't go because I was recovering from sinus surgery. But here's the thing. He sent me a message and said, I'm going to bless you because you've been such a blessing to me. And I'm going to give you an airline ticket to anywhere you want to go.
Oh.
And I was like, what? I was like, wait a minute. And so I'm sitting here like, forget the family. All I'm thinking about is where am I going?
Yep.
Right. And so then he's like, the very next day, he's like, oh, I forgot to tell you, you can invite your family as well. I'm like, I'm about to faint. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So yes. But like I said, I had sinus surgery, so I
Right.
couldn't go during the time period that it was
Right.
there. But I will never forget that, and that meant so much to me. So when you said about generational blessings, he's a blessing to me too. Just when he came to town. And I forgot where it was. It was something I had going on with a friend, and it was like some kind of karaoke night.
Y'all
That
went
was
to,
it.
right.
Yes, I invited him. He showed up, and it was so much fun. My daughter was there, and they're just chatting it up and everything, and
Oh my
so it was just
Yeah.
really nice.
Well, that's good.
He's like family to me. I mean, I can't say enough great things about him, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. He's a sweetheart to me. He's He's a phenomenal young man.
Well,
Aw.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I didn't even know about the tickets. But,
Yes.
well, my son is a flight attendant with United Airlines until his ship comes in with Hollywood, with Don is helping him,
Yes.
help that ship come in. So I'm hoping y'all can make it happen this year. But
Absolutely.
he has some more passes that's going to be coming up. He's coming up on his anniversary.
Oh,
So I
nice.
think he'll be able to bless that again, okay?
Thank you. Because I
Yeah.
sure was excited.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Well, do you want to go ahead and start the questions off for Miss Dewan?
So, Dr. Dewan,
Mhm.
your Unleash Your Inner Worth Summit has been making waves. What inspired you to create the event? And what's the ultimate goal of the event?
Ooh, good question. Good question. Basically, with Unleash Your Inner Worth, with the work that I do, like working with true crime, I wanted something that would empower women, period, and not just say it, but transform, make it where it's something that sticks. And it was important to me because I was seeing that so many women would get in trouble. And it was because like of a man. And like when you watch the show, like For My Man or something like that, it's always literally like a girl gets in trouble because of love. And it didn't matter how she was raised. It didn't matter, whether she had like her mom or dad in her life, people that cared about her, anything. It was like this. And trust me, I'm no man basher. But if you watch For My Man, that's the premise of the show. So that's why I'm saying it. And if you look statistically as well, most women are incarcerated behind crimes committed behind a man.
Okay.
Wow.
Behind,
the
yes.
passion of
So
love.
yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Wow.
So it's so either they were just an accomplice, or they were some like sucked into something, like they're waiting to drive the car and they don't even know. Sometimes they don't even know what they're driving the car to. Sometimes they do, but at the end of the day, it's like just something that they were doing for their boyfriend or their husband.
Wow. Okay.
Right. And so with that, I said, we got to empower ourselves. We have to know that we're worth so much more, and that no matter whether we're in a relationship or by ourselves or anything, we can't lose our common sense. And we can never give up on the foundation that we had. Most of us will have some kind of something to know the difference between right and wrong. And we have to have something inside of us that says, I love you, but I got to love me more.
Yeah.
And so that was where
I
that
love
stemmed
it.
from.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Nice.
Wow.
So
Thank
the
you.
lineup of the summit is impressive. So from what I've seen so far, what are the dates of the summit? And can you give our viewers a little overview of what to expect during the summit?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, we've got a phenomenal lineup of speakers. We've got the actress Brayley Evans. You've probably seen her in movies, TV shows. She does things on BET. She's part of Carl Weber's series. So then in addition to her, we've got Grammy-nominated singer Selena Johnson.
Ooh.
And, it's such a blessing. And we also have yours truly over here. We have Angela Lewis, who's going to be talking about a debt-free living and how to do that. When Angela told me about her own personal testimony, I was like, you have to share it at the conference. You just have to, because so many people think that they're debt-free and they're like, well, I still have a mortgage, or I still pay rent, or I still whatever, but everything else, my bills or whatever. And she's like, you actually don't even have to have that. You don't even have to have a mortgage.
Correct.
You can be debt-free for real. And it's so liberating and so free to be able to have more disposable income anyway. So that's powerful. But just the lineup of people that we have some surprises, some guests that, we're waiting until the 9th hour to kind of, hey, guess what? We got this person, but we got them lined up. So we got, we have a really phenomenal lineup. We've got Tara Gates. She's a brand ambassador. She's Tara Gates Williams now. And she does phenomenal work internationally. And she's coming in from the DMV area to be with us. And, so we've got some really great things. It's March 14th to 15th. At the Embassy Suites in Atlanta Galleria. So right in Cobb County.
Not too far.
Not far from us.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, it's really going to be a good time. But in addition to that, in addition to the summit, there's many ways people can participate, because I get that everybody might not be able to come on a Friday and a Saturday, and that's fine. So on Friday, we're having a kickoff. It's only for a couple hours. If somebody wants to come out, it's only like $25. You can't beat that. And you're coming out there and you're networking, connecting, and just being out there helping us to just be a part of this movement, because it's not just an event, it's a movement.
Okay.
And then on Saturday, it's the full summit. That's like from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. packed with all the speakers, all of the everything. And we're even so kind and gracious. We're serving like lunch, all that's included in the registration,
nice.
and the gala as well. If they register for the full summit, the gala is also included. So they get plentiful things. They get the Friday, the Saturday, and the gala. And that gala, when I tell you, that is going to be something spectacular. It is a black tie event. We are having an award ceremony, and one of our sponsors is Upscale Magazine.
Oh,
So they are going to be
wow.
covering our red carpet portion. Yes, we have a red carpet.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so come out and just, do your thing. And even if you can't go to the conference, you can still go to the gala.
What time is the gala?
7 to 11 p.m. on
Okay.
March the 15th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's I promise it's going to be everything. And we even have Queen Brooklyn Tankard. Her dad is Ben Tankard. He's the gospel artist.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and they used to have a TV show on Bravo with the Tankard family. The whole family was on there. So she's one of our guest speakers at the event. So, come on out. You don't want to be on the sidelines. Like,
Okay.
I wish I had been there, and then seeing the pictures and everything on social media, and you're like, dog, that was a good time.
I know.
Go this year.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes.
So look into that camera right there and give the dates again, okay?
Yes, Unleash Your Inner Worth, Women's Empowerment Summit and Gala, March 14th and 15th of 2025 at the Embassy Suites in Atlanta, Galleria.
So how do they, if someone is interested in coming to this dynamic event, how do they, get plugged in? How do they purchase the tickets?
Absolutely. Well, on social media, we are Unleash Your Inner Worth, Unleash Your Inner Worth. So we're that on Facebook and IG. All of the particulars are there. If you can go directly to the website, unleashyourinnerworth.com, or you can go on Eventbrite. We also have the tickets there. Just type in Unleash Your Inner Worth, Women's Empowerment Summit and Gala.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, the phrase inner worth is powerful.
Oh, yes.
And so how do you define it? And why do so many women struggle with recognizing their own inner worth?
Yes, your inner worth is really how you perceive yourself and the value that you have internalized. When we're growing up and we're young girls, it's external. People are pretty much trying to tell us what our worth is, and it's either going to be good or not so good. So it's very important what we tell our kids. Like, instead of telling them, you're so stupid, or you're just like so-and-so, or you're not going to be this, and this, we need to sow words of life and encouragement, because they're internalizing that. And whether you're realizing or not, you're programming them to know their self-worth. So either they're going to have a healthy self-esteem where they're encouraged and, they know, look, I deserve better than this. I deserve more than this. Or you're doing the opposite and you're programming them to believe that whatever someone tells you, that's what it is. And they're constantly seeking external validation. But knowing your inner worth, that's where everything is, because it's that self-talk. It's the one when you look in the mirror and you're like, hey, I feel really good today. I'm so smart. I'm so capable. I'm whatever. I'm conquering the world today. Or it's the imposter syndrome. Why am I even here? I don't deserve this. And, blah, blah, blah. It's that. So so that's what that really is all about. And so many women struggle with it in so many facets of their life. And that's why the imposter syndrome thing is a big deal right now, because people are talking about it more, where they're just like, they're curled up in bed all weekend or something. And then when Monday rolls around, they're like hesitating to get out of bed because they have put themselves into a depression, but then they have to get up and put a mask on and then go to work on Monday and be around people, when deep down inside they're hurting and they're struggling because they're just like, they don't even know their purpose, and this conference is to help people tap in to say, you know what, you are worth it. No matter what you've been programmed, no matter what you've been told before, you are not your mistakes. I will never forget, I was at an event years ago. I mean, so many years ago, when I was a brand new author. Like, I think, I don't even know if I had my first book out yet. And I remember having a conversation where there was like, they were breaking off in groups. They had a married group, they had a singles group. And I remember that this girl was like kind of silent because she wanted to be married, but she wasn't. So she didn't belong in that group, but she was single. And she was like, well, how are we going to learn anything if we're single and you guys are always breaking off in groups and leaving single women by themselves and leaving married women to the other married women? Like, how are we supposed to learn and grow anything?
Yep.
And I remember remembered also too, though, that even though she was single, I remember us having a conversation about like infidelity in relationships. And she was like, she had always been the cheater in her relationships.
She was?
She was always the cheater. There you go.
Yeah.
Right. But a lot of people are shocked that women do these things.
Right.
And then, but the difference is when men do it, it's like, oh, well, that's just
yeah.
how, that's what women are. That's what it. But women do it. And now she's shamed. Like, you know, something's wrong with her. It's what, you know, and what people don't realize is that women go through the same thing that men do in so many regards. And they go through some of the things we go through. Like women go through menopause, and we know we put a name on it. But men have their own menopause too. It's just called something different. But essentially they go through the same type of, you know,
life changes.
There
and
we
stages.
go. There you go. They go through the doubting. They go through they look in the mirror and they see themselves getting older and out of shape and all this, you know, so they feel, you know, they might put on a good show about it, but the same way women don't want to wake up and seeing wrinkles in the morning, guys, when they're seeing those gray hairs and all this, it's a reminder that Father Time is not on their side either, you know, so it's that type of thing. In the same way that, you know, people always talk about women want to be married and they want to be this. Not all women want to be married. Yeah, and that's not the dream of the fairy tale for women. You know, I can speak for myself that when I was younger and everything, it was never my intention to get married, to have kids or any of that. I thought it was boring. I was going to be a jet setter. I was going to be rich on my own, you know, and I was not thinking about, you know, oh, blah, blah, blah. It was just never, because all the relationships I had seen, I was like, why would anybody sign up for that? Like, why would anybody just want to be?
You didn't have a good model of marriage?
No. In my mind, it was just like boring, and it was just like the same thing in drama. You know, it was drama because I grew up on military bases. So in the military bases, it's different because, you know, everybody's married, but everybody's not married. Because
right. Exactly. Their husbands are gone.
There we go.
Okay.
Right. There we go. Exactly.
Right.
And it was not the men only doing it or the women only doing it. It was like everybody did it.
Oh, wow.
Okay. It was like the men and the women are doing it.
Right.
So you'll see a woman whose husband has a temporary duty assignment out of the country, and she's all booed up the whole time he's gone. And then when her husband comes home to visit for the week or two or whatever he's home for, you know, then the boyfriend's gone, you know, or when the guys are away, they have girlfriends that are right there with them.
Okay.
So a lot of times it's both of the spouses cheating, they're just doing it in different locations.
Right.
So that was the way of life. So to me, it was like, why would I
get married just to cheat and to be cheated on?
There we go.
Right.
That part, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, you know, but then eventually, you know, after I got out of my 20s, I was like, yeah, you know, I might fall in love and, you know, one of these days or whatever. But it wasn't something I was looking for. It just something I fell into.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you've been married so long and you have a wonderful husband. So how did you all end up meeting? How did you meet your husband?
Thank you. That's a fluke. Okay. So we were at a birthday party for one of my friends.
Okay.
And I remember him walking up behind me, and he comes up and he taps me like on my back or something. And I'm about to go off on somebody for touching me, like, you know, and I turn around and look into these beautiful brown eyes, and I couldn't even say anything.
Her husband
Thank you.
Gorgeous.
I couldn't say a word. I just looked in his eyes and just was like
melted,
speechless. That part.
Yeah.
And so he says to me, "You're a hard woman to keep up with. I've been looking for you all night." I was like, I just started laughing. I was like, you got game, okay? And he was like, no, I'm really serious. He was like, I saw you earlier, and then you disappeared, and now I saw you again, but I'm not letting you get away with this time.
Aww,
and we were thick as thieves after that. We were inseparable, and we've been together ever since.
How many years?
Oh, my gosh. That was like in 2000. So 24 years later.
Wow.
Yes. Our daughter is 21. She'll be 22 in May. We've been together that long. Yeah. So, and the thing is with him, he never made me feel suffocated. Like I couldn't be myself. He understood that I was a free spirit. He's like, I know you're a butterfly. He's like, you know, but just stay on this flower. That's all I request. Just stay on this flower.
I like it. I like
you can fly in the world, but you land on this
flower.
Right.
Like
and that's the agreement. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. You
Right.
know, so he never made me feel like confined or trapped or anything. He's been my best friend. He makes me laugh,
Yeah.
you know, and we have fun with each other. We can talk about anything, that kind of stuff, you know. And even like if I'm out somewhere and a guy like hits on me or something and he's not there, I'll come home and tell him, and we make a joke out of it. He's like, "Did you get his phone?" "No, I didn't get his phone." "Oh my gosh."
You sound like me and my husband.
Right.
He'd be like, "So did you tell him that you running about X amount per month? And so if he
that
wants
part,
to pick up
there
the
you go.
tab,
Yes.
then
Yes. And those conversations we have too, because he's like, they don't want to walk a mile in my shoes because they're expensive. I'm like, oh, great. Yeah. You know, that kind of thing.
funny.
So yeah, that's it. But you know, he's very nurturing. He is the romantic one in our relationship. He really is. Like when we have an anniversary or something, he's the one that's like, oh, it's anniversary week. He's doing something sweet every single day. And he picked our wedding date on Valentine's Day. So we got married Valentine's Day. Yeah. So I wasn't
happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So yeah, I wasn't hungry earlier because he made me some salmon and some spinach before I left. He was like, I just wanted to surprise you, you know, and I was just like,
nice.
yeah. So, you know, he does stuff like that all the time. And
That's really sweet.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. But sometimes he's too sweet because he'll make coffee like Starbucks, right? Like one of the big, like he's like, it's a whole dessert, right? So he was making me coffee at night, these treats and everything. And I started gaining some weight.
Oh,
and I was
yeah.
just
It's like, I can't eat like
there we
that.
go. And I
Right.
told him, I was like, I can only do this like once a week. Like your
Exactly.
drinks are dessert. And he
Right.
just like really kind of hurt his feelings. But I was like, I'm sorry. It was our bonding moment because we would do that like at 9 o'clock
Yeah,
at night, you know,
but-
and that was just our thing.
Yeah.
You know,
but then you can't get in your clothes and you know
I'm
that
like,
no.
I'm like, no, that I'm
Exactly.
like, those little sweet treats got to stop. But, you know,
Yep.
once in a while, but it's okay. But yeah, so that's how I ended up with him. It just wasn't that I was looking for it or anything, literally stumbled upon it and was like, okay. And even when he picked our wedding date, we were at Thanksgiving dinner with his parents. And he was like, you know, Valentine's Day falls on I think he said a Saturday or something this upcoming year. You know, I think that'd be a good day to get married. And I was like, you know what? Okay. Yeah, that's literally what I did. I was like, you know, okay.
Oh.
And then it was like, he was telling me the whole time, he was like, I was just waiting. I was like, you know, is she going to get chicken out of this? Or, you know, is she going to, and I was like, no, I never felt that way. I was excited about it. I was like, you know, yeah. So it was the right thing to do.
That's so awesome. I want to double back to something you said about the imposter syndrome, right?
Yes.
Now, typically when you talk about imposter syndrome, you're saying that sometimes it can be like a lack of confidence. Well, let me just say this. I had imposter syndrome one time, and I've always been a very confident person, but mine came from, you know how you can be going after a goal, and once you get it, like when I decided to, I guess, matriculate from sales into human resources, then I had my eyes on I want to become an HR manager, right?
Right.
So when I actually got it, my first time to do it, it's like, you know, you're so used to being it. And then when you actually get it, then I was like, oh my gosh, can I do this? And I remember my boss said, you know, Angela, I would like to, can I be your friend on LinkedIn, right? I freaked out. In my mind, it's like, oh my gosh, he's going to look at me. He's going to know I'm not qualified, you know?
Yes.
And so that was imposter syndrome, right? I was just feeling, but you know how I got over that? One of the persons that was assigned to actually interview all the HR managers because we had offices all over the U.S. that they were hiring like 8 different managers for each office, right?
Okay.
But she had come down and we went to lunch and she says, Angela, I'm going to tell you, you were definitely the person for this job because this was the hardest one to fill. I had to interview literally 12 different people.
Wow.
And when you walked in, he immediately said, that's who I want.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, really? And then that sort of gave me my confidence, you know,
you go.
but I
supposed
was
to be.
like, oh my gosh, can I do this? Because, you know, for 2 years, you know, I'm networking and I'm trying to learn from everybody. I joined, the SHRM, organization. But when I then got what I've been dreaming, I was like, they're going to find out. I don't know all this compliance stuff, you know? So, so I say that to say that sometimes the imposter syndrome can be that not that you're not qualified and not that you're not, worthy of something or confident, but it can be sometimes we're so used to being in a posture of going after it that, or like I say, or as we were saying in the spiritual world, planting the seed. But when you actually start walking in the harvest, it feels, it's a different feel, you know, and everything.
Absolutely.
So that's what, yeah,
Absolutely.
that was my
That
first
was a great
thing.
example.
Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah. So I want to ask you this. This event that we're having, the summit.
Yes.
So it's not just about motivation, but it's also about transformation. So what are some of the key takeaways that you hope some of the attendees would walk away with?
Oh, yes. Oh, transformation. I want people to walk away, one, being comfortable talking to people that they normally wouldn't be in the room with. And just being comfortable with that. I also want people to network effectively. One thing that you did, Angela, was teach about networking. And I never forgot this. Like when you meet people, don't just gather up business cards and things like that. Like write how you met them, like where you met them on the back. That makes a difference. Now we do everything in our cell phones and stuff. So, you know, even when you exchange a number, still put in there, I put in the notes section where we met, so that, because I don't like going through my phone and wondering, how do I know this person?
Exactly.
You know, and then, right. So it's like I put notes so I know how I met the person. But in addition to that, I want them to also walk away feeling like they're empowered and equipped to be able to move to the next stage of whatever it is that they want to accomplish. I want them to feel as though when they go to this, that it was not like any other event they had attended. I want them to learn personal things about the people that are speaking, so that they will know that they are not alone, that they don't have, that we're all humans just trying to make it.
Yes.
And, you know, I want them to even recognize and realize that we all fall short, that nobody is perfect, and that the things that they struggle with, probably the things that they're ashamed of or embarrassed about, they probably don't even need to be. Because the reality of it is just like that conversation I had with the young lady who was the cheater in all of her relationships. When we finished talking and other women started fessing up, she was not the only cheater in all of the relationships.
Exactly.
I mean, facts.
Oh
You
my
know, as
gosh.
surprising as it may be to some people, like, no. And she was not some promiscuous, you know,
Exactly.
low class, low brow woman. No, she was very put together, educated, intelligent. That was just part of her journey. So we need to stop making women feel less than because they have been divorced, because they had an affair, because they cheated on someone, because of whatever. We have to just stop making them feel like they're less than, and shaming them, because then it makes them go further in a hole where they don't want to come out, where they're just like, I'm not saying that because the church people judging me, you know, that kind of stuff. Is like, no, you know.
Yeah.
And I will never forget, and this was something that really stuck in me as a person, was that I remember this young lady crying to me and telling me that her spiritual mother at a church, when she confessed that she had cheated on her husband, that woman told her, "You are not a Christian."
Wow.
Wow.
I was
That's
like,
amazing.
you talk about shutting someone down. That could have shut that person down from ever going to church again, from not feeling worthy of anything. And it reminded me, because I was in the Air Force too, so I'm a veteran. But I remember this young lady that was in basic training with me, and she had gotten a divorce, and we were at church and we were taking communion, and she was like, "I can't take communion." And we were like, why can't you take communion? She's like, "Because I'm divorced." And we were like,
Who told you that?
right. Like she was carrying that burden because
Yeah.
she was divorced. She felt like she was not worthy she could no longer take communion. I mean, but there's so many things that women have been conditioned to believe that really aren't in our best interest. It's not in our best interest, because we get short end of the stick. You know, as women, it's too often of, we're expected to be this prim proper thing at all times. We're not supposed to, you know, do anything human like. I remember watching something in an interview with Lamar Odom where he talked about being married to Chloe, and he said that Chloe never used the bathroom around him. Now, they were married.
Right.
What?
She never did a number two when he was at home. And he was just like, how's that possible? He even was like, you know, you can relax, you can do it. You know?
Oh, wow.
Right. But it's laughable to us, because we're like, I can't even imagine, you know,
my.
all of this.
Yeah.
But it was the to her, it was probably most likely that she's such this image, this persona, this beautiful woman, that if you hear me belch or pass gas or let alone take a number two, then all of a sudden I'm not sexy to you anymore. And it's just like, who's got to live like that when you're married to somebody?
Right.
If you have to be that on guard and have all of that, you know, it's just too much. So sometimes the expectations that are placed on women, they can be self-imposed, or they can be, you know, externally imposed, and we can receive it that way. But I want women to leave out of the conference feeling also liberated. Like a lot of the stigmas, a lot of the things that they might have attached to themselves and felt like it was a thing, I want them to be liberated and freed from that.
Oh, that's
Good.
good.
I
That
like
is
that.
good. Well, I want to
Thank
go
you.
back to something that you said, that person is saying that's not Christian.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, that person who said that is not a well-learned person, because one of the things that my grandmother, you know, I'm a
All right.
grandparent PK, so it's my grandparents were pastor and first lady, but my grandmother said, but that's nothing but two scriptures really in the Bible for the sinner, and that's repent, you know, the Lord, you know, you believe in God and
Yes.
repent and believe, die, that's for the sinner,
Right.
and oh gosh, there's one more. But the whole point is, she said, everything else is written for Christians, because we do all those sinful, crazy stuff. Okay? That's the whole point I was trying to make. The Bible is written for Christians.
Right.
But then you have to be careful about, I know my pastor, he did a whole series on God didn't say that. You know, a lot of times people are saying things based on their interpretation, because now, you're a millennial. I don't know if you even know this, but do you know if a young lady back in the day got pregnant, they would make her go in front of the church? Not every church, but some churches.
I've heard about that.
They would have to go in front of the church. Now, they didn't bring the lady and the boy, because of course you don't get pregnant without the boy.
Right.
But she had to go in front of the church and like sort of ask for forgiveness, you know, like to be shamed like that. Yes.
Yes.
So,
Wow.
and that was, you know, in the church. They
I
would
know
do that.
I have a friend who went through that in
Really?
real life. Yeah, she went through that in real life.
Oh my gosh.
She got pregnant out of wedlock as a young lady, and they shamed her that way and made her have to go in front of, like, I don't want to call the religion or anything, but if you know, you know. And it was just like, yeah, she had to go through that, and it made her and him leave, but they're still married, and they have
They got
a
married.
house full
Okay.
of kids.
But
and
did he have
everything.
to go in front of the church?
He never did.
Yeah, that's what I'm
He
saying.
did not.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. So you're right. It was all on the young lady, as if she just did it all by herself.
Exactly. So anyhow, sorry, you know,
No, that's-
sidebar
No
about
worries.
that.
Yes.
So, switching gears just a bit,
Mm-hmm.
your work in forensic psychologist, right?
Yeah,
Oh my God. So that
yes.
was what was very interesting to me when I heard that you were coming on the show. So it sounds like that is something straight out of a crime show.
Usually.
What exactly do you do?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I get these cases, I assess them, I give like the interpretation of what the person might have been going through, how they think. I analyze human behavior, literally, like why did they do what they did or what we think they did.
So when you say you got in the case, so that means somebody has committed a crime.
Yes.
And then they send them to you for like a psych
Yes,
evaluation.
there you go. All of that.
Oh.
Like
Person who committed the crime?
they send me the whole case file. Like it's a whole thing.
Okay.
Like, yeah, like I'll get the case file of it, the police reports, the everything, go through all of that, see what happened, and then kind of get like a buildup of the person, like a character outline of the person. And then I'm able to understand them, like their psyche and what they were going through when they committed the crime.
So do you actually get to meet and talk to the person though?
Sometimes I do.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I do. And they stick with me because there are ones where I insist on meeting the person because it's just like, I need to speak to them and hear this from them.
Right.
This on paper is one thing, but I need to speak to this person and find out what's what.
Wow.
Wow.
So what's been one of your creepier moments?
Ooh. I wouldn't say, see, to me, I'm a true crime person. So
It's not really creepy.
Right.
Okay.
It's not creepy to me.
Okay.
It's not creepy to me. But there was actually a case that I had nothing to do with, but I did see it like on the ID channel or something. And this guy like cooked up his family. Like he, chopped them up and literally boiled them in a big pot and all of this. And that was creepy to me. Jeffrey Dahmer, his
Wow.
case is creepy to me. Like the things that they do, that's creepy to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So it
Wow.
what it kind of reminds me of as you're describing it is what was it called? Silence of the Lambs.
Ooh, yes. Yes.
So you
That's a great
love that
movie.
show,
So
I
right?
love.
But even though I did like that show,
Yes,
but
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Since you study criminal behavior, what trends have you seen consistent with people who maybe commit crimes?
Yeah, probably like when women commit serial crimes, like when they are, because women are different. They commit crimes differently than men do. Their motivation is usually different. There's more manipulation and deception that's usually involved. So I would just say the rise of women creating multiple crimes.
women?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
What are some mindset shifts that you see in women that maybe they could make to break those cycles of committing frequent crimes of love?
Right. Some of the things that women can do are number one, to love themselves more. Love themselves more. We're often taught to that is God first, family second, yourself third, that type of thing, and sometimes even further on the totem pole than that. But I believe it should be God first, yourself second. It's kind of like one of those situations where if you're on the plane, we
They
hear
say
that a
put
lot,
the
that you got to put the
mask
mask
on
on yourself
yourself
before you can
first.
save someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm not showing up as my authentic self, my best self, then I can't give that to everybody else. You cannot pour from an empty jug. You can't do it. So
I like that.
I agree.
That makes sense.
I agree.
So I just want to ask you, does working, in all this crime, true crime, ever make you look at people differently in real life? Like, come on, are you like secretly profiling us right now?
I get that question a lot.
Tell me about Dee. What do you see in her?
Oh
How
my
likely is she to
goodness.
commit a crime within the next
That
6
is
months?
too funny. Okay, what I will say is this: in social settings, I try to turn it off.
Okay.
Yes, but it's still fascinating. Sometimes you will notice, like, people's body language or a particular word they use or their gestures, things like that. So, it's hard to totally turn it off,
Right.
but
Well, you say body language? Okay,
all of
so
that.
I sit with
Yes,
my hands
yes.
like this. So that
Yes.
means what's the likelihood I'm going to be a criminal one day?
You're not.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay.
And so are you.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Wonderful.
dang.
Yeah.
Yes. No, you don't have to worry about it.
Oh my! Well, believe it or not, when I started college, I was a business major. I was going to be a psych minor.
Oh,
After
wow.
taking my second class, I couldn't turn it off, and I realized in order to keep friends, I'm gonna have to, because I start saying like, "Oh Lord, we're all exhibiting some type of psychotic, crazy behavior."
Absolutely.
So you're saying if I would have stuck
Absolutely.
with it, I would have learned how to maybe perhaps balance it out. Because it just scared. I'm like, I'm not going. I love my friends. I'm like, I'm not going to have any friends.
I mean, it does. It can be a lot because my daughter, she's a senior in college now. She graduates in May.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I was wondering why, like, philosophy kept coming up for her, and she's a film and media major, but philosophy kept coming up a lot. Like with some of the schools she go to, they were like, would you be interested in studying philosophy? And I'm like, I've never heard of this. I've never heard of schools suggest a major for you. And all of a sudden, she starts reading all these philosophy books, studying
Right.
psychology. She took a psychology class, and all of a sudden now she analyzes me. And I'm just like, I mean, the conversations are really something. And she's like, Mom, you should not say this, or you should, da da da. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, I appreciate all of this.
Oh wow!
But you're brand new at this,
Oh.
But I appreciate it. It's actually, it's entertaining, and I can appreciate it.
Funny.
But yes, she stays, paying attention and observing and telling me what I should and shouldn't say, and all of this, and trying to, and I'm just like, her little personality, she's picked up some of me in there. So I can't even, I guess, flattering to an
Yeah.
extent. So
Well,
yeah.
that's something.
Mhm.
Well, you've seen some of the darkest side of human behavior.
Ooh, yes.
So how do you personally stay positive and, and keep from carrying all that weight?
Prayer, meditation, reading my
Okay.
word, and just that's really the biggest, to be honest.
Mhm.
And sometimes I just have to, in fact, while I was writing here, I was like, it's time for me to do like a fast away from social media for like 5 days,
Mhm.
to unplug totally and don't even watch TV or anything like
Mhm.
that, because
Mhm.
I'm an empath by nature. So I soak up a lot of energy, and sometimes I
Mm.
can find myself all of a sudden just feeling heavy. And
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, nothing's really going on. Why are you feeling like that? Oh, it's because you've been on social media. You waking
Mhm.
up, getting that phone, and you're on
Yep.
social media, and you're watching the news and you're hearing these conversations and so on. So it can make you feel heavy. So for me, those are the main things that, keep me grounded. And I pay attention to myself. You have to know yourself
Mhm.
and listen to the signs, period. That's for men and women. Know yourself. Know when your body's doing something different. Know when your
Yep.
energy is off. Know when your
Mhm.
spirit man is trying to tell you something, because
Mm.
our spirits, they are everything. Our soul is
That's
everything.
right.
We are spiritual beings having a
Having a human.
physical
That's
experience.
right.
There we go. That's it.
Mhm.
We're having a human experience.
Mhm.
But this is
Right.
this is just our vehicle, our
Our
mode of
shell. Yep.
transportation. That's all it is. Just
I
our
love
that's
it.
it.
Yep.
That's
Hmm.
true. That's
Yep.
true.
Yes.
So, since you have such a unique background, you've bridged forensic psychiatry or psychology, sorry,
Mhm.
with the interpersonal
Yes.
through your Unleash Your Inner Worth Summit. So,
Hmm.
how would you describe that summit in 3 words?
Ooh, transformative, powerful.
Mhm.
I would even say provocative.
Okay.
Okay. I
I
love it.
love it
I
too.
love
Thank
it.
you.
And I'll make sure when I'm speaking that I try to make sure that I'm transformative
And
and
provocative.
provocative.
That part. Yes, absolutely.
I will
Yeah.
definitely have to
So,
come and support.
Awesome. We would love to have you.
Thank you. So, if life were a true crime story, what would the
Ooh.
title be?
Ooh. Oh goodness.
no. If your life,
Oh, of your
My
life.
for sure.
Thank
yeah,
you.
and let's say if you're, I'm gonna
Ooh,
want to
that's a
make
good
it
question.
personal.
Right. I probably why me?
I love it. And what do you think the spinoff? I mean, what do you say?
What would
Why
be
me? Yeah.
the why me? Because it's like, oh goodness, I get asked so many questions on a regular, and even like my family, my parents will sit there and they're just like, but wait, you're the psychologist, you're supposed to know this and da da da.
Ah,
And I'm just, so that's why it would be the, well, why me
right.
then?
Like,
Because in a
yeah.
true crime,
Okay.
fashion or whatever, because I think that if my life were a true crime, yeah, it would be why me, because I probably would get so frustrated and overloaded that I would just go on a spree and just
She had
Oh,
enough.
she
there we go.
yeah,
Had
she was
enough. That's
triggered.
it.
She was
Yeah,
triggered.
that
She was
it.
triggered.
All that. Yes.
Yeah.
So we are waiting for your next book on true crime. So
Ooh,
I'm just putting that in the
yes, yes.
atmosphere.
Thank you for that.
Wow.
Yes.
Speaking of books, one of my book club that you came to,
Hmm.
we read another book, and for the life of me, I can't think of it right now, but it was about a lady who was an author,
Hmm.
but her daughter, she was high school, so that's 15, 10th grader.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she wanted to be like a psychologist. She was the students would pay her for advice. And her mom said,
Wow.
you don't have no degree. You can't. But she was really good. And she
Yes.
was telling her mom. So it made me think of your daughter saying
Yes.
something but what she told her mom, of
Mhm.
course, as the readers, we get to know. I'm like, she had it head on.
Absolutely.
So it's like,
It's
do
true.
you think that some things, even about knowing human behavior, can be innate? Like we can be born with some type of wisdom that
Oh,
sometimes.
for
I mean, I know a lot of
sure.
things is learned. You go to
Mhm.
school to be at the top of your game, but do you think some people have a high discernment or something? Or
Oh, definitely, definitely. For me personally, I learned about us having more spiritual things when I was a teenager. I remember I want to say I was maybe 17 years old or something,
Mhm.
and I had this dream that was a premonition. I'd never had it before. And it literally, I dreamt something and I told my best friend, I said, I dreamt this. I don't even understand what this means or whatever. Literally 7 days later, the dream played out exactly as I had in real life. It played out exactly as I had dreamt it. And so then my best friend, we're still best friends to this day, very good girlfriends. And so she even says, that spooked her, where she was just like, because I told her about it, we were just like, dismissing it, not knowing, because we're teenagers. We're like, what's this mean? And then when it actually came to pass 1 week later, then it was like, okay, there's something to this. But then it happened to me again when I was like, I want to say I was 18 years old. And I was in a relationship with someone and he was cheating. And I had a dream about him cheating on me. And I saw the girl, I saw everything. And I confronted him about it. And he said he couldn't even lie because he was like, he thought I had followed him. And I did no such thing. It literally was just a dream. Right. And so when my daughter was growing up and stuff, I would like touch her hand and she would say she would feel something. And she's just like, even now as an adult, she's like, no, Mom, stop trying to take my energy. Stop trying to read my thoughts or, whatever, that kind of stuff. And when I meet people, I do feel energy and, that kind of thing. And I have had a gift through the years where I was able to, like, if I touch someone's hand, I could get like a whole like wealth of information, so that's another reason why I have to stay spiritually grounded. Because as one of my aunts would say, she's like, that gift can be good or bad.
Exactly.
Right. So I choose to use it for
the
for
good. Right.
There we go.
Yeah.
I love it.
Do you ever get dreams on what the lottery number is going to be?
No, not the same thing. No, but and I wish, I would love to. Trust me, I have tried. Like, okay, look, I try to program myself before I go to bed. Like, what is this? This hundreds of millions of dollars right now. Right. But then if it's something else, but it'll be something else. Like I remember my back was hurting once before and I told my back before I went to bed, I was like, look, I got stuff to do. I'm too young for this. I need you to act right. I touched my back, told my back, stop hurting. And I promise you, it didn't hurt the next morning or ever again. And that's been some years. Wow. So I tell people, you can talk to yourself and, make your body do what you want it to do.
Your mind is a strong.
There you go. Your mind is
powerful.
strong. Yes, very powerful.
Well, our last question here is, what's one non-negotiable self-care ritual you swear by to keep your energy high?
Yes, a milk bath. I love to take milk baths. I learned that from the actress Diane Carroll back in the day. She was so beautiful to me.
She was.
And it was just like, I remember her saying she took milk baths. And I was just like, milk baths?
So when they take a milk bath, what you doing 2% milk or what,
No.
I mean, tell me what
No, not regular milk. Not regular milk. That was good. No, I did think that at first, but then I was like, no, it's not regular milk. It's like you can use either powdered milk, like a goat's milk, or either the can. But I use goat's milk.
Oh, so you do
Nothing
a
that I'm
goat's
just
milk.
drinking. Yeah, just goat's milk.
And everything. So you put that in there. Does it make a suds?
No, it doesn't. But it's very nice. It's just relaxing. I like the liquid ones, but those cans now, with the inflation of everything, those cans have gone up. So you might want to get some powder
milk, like carnation milk?
No, goat's milk.
Goat's milk.
But in a can.
Yeah, they come in a can. Yeah, they're not the cheapest thing.
I got
but if you just want that rest and relaxation, because they have them in the carton, they have them in the little can, and they also have them powdered, so you can get it powdered. Like I think on Amazon you can get it powdered.
Wow. So you take that, and then once you get out, do you take a shower?
I take the shower first.
Oh, you take the shower first?
Yep, I take a shower first because I cleanse and do all that stuff first.
Okay.
And then when I get in there, it's just soaking, it's just relaxing. It's just strictly that.
And how does it make your skin feel?
Soft.
Okay.
Very soft. Well, I'll have to try it one day.
Yes, and I put little candles in there. Sometimes I'll add a little bubble bath or something in there to get the suddy effect. Okay. But but in general.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so it's not regular milk where you're just going to get out and you're going to have a smell that's
that's
spoiled.
what I was like.
No, it's not like that.
Milk bath. I'm like, all I can see is I cannot wait to get in the shower to get this off me. So I wouldn't be relaxed.
Right.
So thank you for clearing that
Absolutely.
up. See, I'm sure some of you didn't know that either, right? So anyway.
Mhm.
Well, do you know what sound that is, Angela?
Yes.
It's time for our ATL segment.
Ask the leaders.
Oh, all right.
So that's right. So, Dwan, this is where we dive into a question straight from our profit box,
Okay.
submitted by one of you, our amazing Boomlennial fam. So, D, who's stepping up with today's question?
Should I be nervous? Do I have to
No.
answer this question? Is this a truth or dare type segment part?
No.
No.
Okay, I got a question.
Our
You got one?
listeners
Okay.
actually they really just want to know. They want to be educated and inspired and transformed. So they're not trying to trick us because they really want to know.
All right.
Okay, so this is Sandra from Charlotte, North Carolina. We like Charlotte.
Hey,
Hi, Sandra.
Yes.
So, dear Chee and D, I love watching crime shows and I'm always working on becoming the best version of myself. Try to milk bath, girl.
Right.
I really enjoy the ATL questions and answers because they either confirm my thoughts or challenge me to see things that I wouldn't normally see. My question is, what's one common mindset block that you see holding women back from fully stepping into their power?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Wow.
That they don't deserve it. So many women just don't think they're worthy, that they don't deserve the goodness. You know, either their mom, their grandmother didn't have a good man, so they feel like there's no good men, so why should they be the exception? They don't deserve a good man in their mind. Or, all they know is everybody's in the struggle financially. So who are they to want something else? Because then even with money, even with religion, so often we're taught that because they'll misconstrue the word where it's like, oh, well, just wanting money is evil. And it's like, no, it's not. It's the love of money is the root of all evil. So it is not just wanting nice things so that you can help other people or anything, because with money comes options. Okay. Now you have the option to help other people instead of just, well, I'll pray
Saying,
for
I'll
you,
pray
but I
for
can't.
you.
There we go. Right. But your lights are getting ready to get cut off, or you're about to be evicted. Your kids don't have diapers, that kind of thing. So you're actually able to do things to help people when you're financially, stable. My dad he really drops some little nuggets often. And one of the things he told me, he's like, the best thing that you can do for poor people is just not to be one of them. And I was like, say what now? He's like, I don't mean that to say that you're above anybody, because you're not. He's like, you're not above anybody. You're not beneath anybody. He's like, but what I mean by that is, if you're not poor, you're not contributing to, like, the economic downturn of anything. You're not asking other people. You're self-sufficient. You're independent. You're reliant, and you actually can help somebody.
Right.
But if I'm poor too, then how can I help you?
Right.
And you know what I call that? To me, it's called, if you have options and if you have resources, you can be the answer to the prayer.
There we go.
Because that's the
Yes.
whole thing is prayers don't come from, the blessing is not going to be zapped out by osmosis or come out of the air.
Oh, yeah.
God generally blesses people through somebody.
Absolutely.
And so that is always my prayer. God, let me be, I have prayers of desires of things that I want
Right.
or that I need. However, I'm asking that I want things so that I can be the answer to somebody's prayer.
Correct.
There you go.
So,
Yes.
you have a nonprofit organization like one of my girlfriends who deals senior citizen baskets for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And these baskets include the full meal,
Oh,
and
wow.
she wants
Yes.
us to do at least 50. So I've challenged myself to give her organization no less than $1,000 each year
that.
to help that, right?
Yes.
Well, if I'm poor and decrepit, I
You
can't
can't
be
help.
the answer to
There
that.
you go.
Right.
So that's why I'm like,
Absolutely.
so I ask
Yes.
for a lot, but I tie to
There we
my
go.
ask what I'm going to do in exchange for
Right.
it. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, you should do that. You should give back, and that's what it's all about. It's an ecosystem, to your
Absolutely.
point, and no one should have limiting beliefs that they're not worthy of something.
Right. Exactly. Because, at the end of the day, it is like, it's not a matter of what anyone looks like. It's not a matter of any of that stuff. It is about, what are you on the inside? Because beauty is what beauty does. Just because somebody looks good, we can see on social media all day long all of the surgically enhanced bodies and all of this, but at the end of the day, it's not making them happy. They're not keeping relationships. I mean, if these guys if they go through spending all this money and their man still leaves, or he still cheats, he's still
Exactly.
abusive, whatever, then that tells you it's not what you look like on the outside that makes the difference.
Correct.
You know, because a pretty face doesn't keep anybody. It really doesn't, you know, all of that. So I always say that what's most important is what we believe about ourselves on the inside.
That's right.
And if it does not apply to you, if somebody says you're stupid, you don't have to receive that. You can very easily say the words cancel.
Yep.
Cancel.
That's what I do. I'm just like, if it don't agree with my spirit, cancel. I don't receive that.
Nope.
You know, and that's just how that is.
And let me just say another nugget my grandmother said too, that well, first of all, none of us are worthy. If you in the
really
grand
think about it,
scheme of things.
Yes.
And so we all are operating on grace.
That's
you know,
right.
God graces us, you know, with things. And that's how I truly feel. Now, I do believe that we should make an effort, you know, to be kind, to be nice, to be generous and everything. But even on our best days, we're not really
worthy.
truly worthy. So when you look at it like that, then I don't necessarily have to compare myself to somebody else like, oh, they're doing that, because guess what? I'll say, well, they ain't really worthy. They're just under God's grace, you know, or whatever.
Absolutely.
And then that just, I guess that's called reframing in a sense, you know, and that's just a way that I like to sort of reframe so that I'm not going to walk in condemnation. I'm not going to walk and say that, you know, well, first of all, I know I'm not worthy of something because, see, God is not a performance-driven God. He doesn't do things for us because this is what we're doing.
That's right.
He truly is out of love. It's an agape. So we can't perform our way. So anyway, that's my
really
nugget
good
for today.
That was really good.
Yeah.
You know, and if we fill ourselves up with love, then it just makes a tremendous difference with how we treat other people also.
That's true.
You know, so if we have love inside, then we will exhibit love to others. But if you see people who are angry and bitter and mean and all this, it's because it's not about what's happening with the other people outside of them, is what they feel on the inside about themselves.
And of course I'm gonna go there again on the scripture, because we are, you know, once Jesus came and broke the veil, we are basically on the one main commandment now, and that is to love your neighbor like yourself, right?
Yep.
So what is that telling us? We are supposed to love ourselves. So if you don't have self-love, that's where the problem is.
Yes.
You don't know how to love healthy,
That's right.
because you don't have self-love and everything. So let's love ourselves. Love on yourselves. Take the time to go get your nails done. Take the time to go get your hair done. Go get a massage. To go do some self-care and love on yourself. And I guarantee that might take that frown off your face.
That's right.
I love it.
I
You
love
are
it.
absolutely right.
Well,
Yes.
that I will say, Sandra, thank you so much for writing in your question.
That was a powerful
That
question.
was a powerful
It really
one.
was.
So thank you so much for sending it in. And for all of you out there, if you have burning questions about business, leadership, real estate, money, we got you. Don't hold back. Send us in your questions, and your question may be read at our next podcast show. So you can send that question to Chee and D. So CheeAndee @gmail.com. We also have a new website.
Yay!
All right.
Yay! And so that is boomlennialpodcast.us. You can also communicate through that website with us. So we would love to hear from you. We love to get your feedback. We love to get your ideas for our next show.
I love it. I love it. So now listen, family, mark your calendars, set those reminders, and do whatever you got to do, because the next, we drop an episode every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm sorry, not every Tuesday, the second and fourth Tuesday of the month. Second and fourth Tuesday of the month. I wanted to just personally take a moment to say, Dionna, thank you so much for being our guest. You brought the fire today.
Oh, thank you.
So-
It was my pleasure. I enjoyed it so much. Thank you both.
Yes, it was a good discussion on how forensic psychology and self-empowerment, women's empowerment meet. I really love what you're doing in the community.
Yep.
Thank you.
I really
appreciate
do.
that.
And we certainly want to make sure, get your tickets now. Don't delay. Don't even meet us there. Beat us there. What was the date again now for the
March
summit?
14th and 15th, 2025.
Great.
The Unleash Your Inner Worth Women's Empowerment Summit and Gala.
We love it.
So, Dr. Dewan, you didn't come to play. You came to empower, uplift, and inspire. And of course, to our incredible Boomlennial family, thank you so much. Y'all keep going, and we love you every single day.
Wow. So please join us next time for our upcoming episode, Real Love, Real Estate, Building a Legacy Together. It's gonna be a game changer. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.
So until next time, keep pushing, keep growing, and remember,
Shine bright and do business right.
Thank you.
Bye.